Chris, great to have you on. It's Alabama. What can you expect? I mean, it's business as
Well, you
usual.
know
You're
what?
not.
I'm in Columbus, Paul. It's the same thing with Ohio State. They're criticizing the offense, the defense, but we don't run the ball well enough. C.J. Stroud is not a dual threat guy. I mean, fans are going to find fault wherever they can.
Yeah, I'm interested in that. But when you think about two college towns that mirror each other than the outside temperature, they are very similar. They're rarely satisfied. Although I understand that Ryan Day has a work in progress up there. Nick Saban has 6 national championships on the wall since he got here just a few years ago. But anyway, we'll worry about Saban later. I am interested first in this game tomorrow that you're calling, and then we'll move on to a couple of other subjects. But you have Michigan State. Everyone loves them. Coach is about to become a zillionaire, taking on the Buckeyes, who have two brutal back-to-back games.
Yeah, we asked Ryan Day, what's your reaction to facing a coach who's going to make $9.5 million based on 11 wins at Michigan State in 1+ season? I think for a lot of coaches, that's an equation changer. Now, we'll see. I mean, Michigan State has some nightmarish matchups in this game. Worst pass defense in the world against the best receiving core in America, and a tight end and a running back who can get involved in the passing game, and an offense that's really clicking. And, the bend but don't break against Ohio State doesn't always work because they don't even need to get to the red zone to score. They'll just score 40, 50 yards out. So Michigan State's going to have to play very well offensively, go against some tendencies. They're not really a grinded-out ball control team. Despite Kenneth Walker's success, they don't have much success on third down, keeping opponents off the field, which is the obvious thing to do against Ohio State. So there's a reason why they're 19-point underdogs, frankly.
Talking to Chris Fowler about a number of subjects. Chris, you've seen Georgia a couple of times this year, and I'm really interested in your evaluation of them as we begin to hone in on the SEC championship game in 2 weeks.
Well, I mean, how can you not be impressed? I mean, to me, they're a cut of everybody else. They'll be about a field goal favorite in Atlanta if they are playing the Tide and nothing changes between now and then. And that sounds about right. I still think it's JT Daniels is going to have to play a role in there at some point to come in. And as good as Bennett has been, as steady as he's been, I just feel Daniels is going to play a role somewhere, whether it's in Atlanta or the playoff or wherever. Georgia's just so hard to stand in against, though, for 4 quarters, man. I mean, people have adrenaline. They go in there and they think they can hang with the dogs, and they can't. Not for 4 quarters. I mean, nobody's come close yet. So I can't wait to see that game in Atlanta.
Chris, I had a young 12-year-old call me a minute ago from Arkansas, and he said, who do you have in the Heisman? And I'm like going, I don't know. You'll host the Heisman Awards in 3 weeks, and I know you pay a lot of attention to this. How do you frame the Heisman field right now with 2 mega weekends coming up?
Well, I do. They give me a lot of free, nice swag, like the thing that I'm wearing right here. No, I've hosted it since '94, and I've covered it since '88, and I've never seen a stranger race than this, Paul. I just posted a video on Instagram about that, and basically saying that I'm going to give strong consideration to a defensive player on the ballot for sure, and maybe even at the top of the ballot. I don't reveal that, but to me, it's been a little bit different kind of year where the defenses have maybe taken back some of the momentum of the offenses. Will Anderson in Alabama, a guy that leads the nation in sacks and tackles for loss and has been a leader as a sophomore. You know how reluctant Saban is to lavishly praise, especially a sophomore, but he has been unbelievable in saying what Anderson has meant to that defense, a defense that really needed leadership. Kayvon Thibodeau is going to be the top pick. You talk to scouts every week, as we do, and he maybe doesn't have the sack totals, and he was injured on Oregon's biggest stage here at Ohio State, but since he's gotten back, he's played tremendously. So we know who the offensive guys are. To me, Bryce Young and C.J. Stroud are very similar. California quarterbacks who left the region, very mature, very smart, very poised, and they're not dual threat guys. They want to stay in the pocket and throw. Stroud has more weapons to work with than Bryce Young does. I mean, the 4th receiver at Ohio State has gone down to become Alabama's best receiver. But the embarrassment of riches that Stroud has to work with lead to the numbers he's produced. Matt Corral, to me, if he'd been healthy, Paul, all year, is the best quarterback athlete that I've seen. And he's still toughing it out, taking pain injections, going out there. Obviously, they have to tailor the game plan to that ankle, got to protect it. So he hasn't been the runner since that Tennessee game. Had he stayed healthy, I think he might be a clear front runner, but you can't vote on what ifs, right?
Before you go, I do want to talk about something that people should pay more attention to. I mean, obviously, we see you every Saturday night or whenever you show up, but you also have a podcast that it's not the typical podcast of the hot takes and screaming and hollering. I don't know why I'm talking about the podcast for this show, but I know that in particular this week you tackled some really interesting subjects with some ex-players.
Yeah, the topic the last couple of weeks has been to go or not to go to college. Is it still crucial for your success? How to make the most of it if you decide to go, how not to waste the years. And this week I happen to have two ex-college athletes. Morgan Williams was a great basketball player at Mississippi State, and Kendall Joseph, what Alabama fans will remember because they kept meeting Clemson in the playoff games, and they got the Tide twice, and the Tide got the Tigers twice. And Kendall never had a chance to play in the NFL, but used what he was given as a college athlete to get a degree. And now his job is to sell medical equipment, and part of his territory is Alabama. So he's going down into Alabama and Georgia as this ex-Clemson player making business contacts. And he's just a great example of athletes making the most out of what they've given in college. Yeah, it's tough to combine both. They also have a lot of tools at their disposal if they use them well. And there's also a kid at Stanford who won a Congressional Medal of Honor for starting a nonprofit during the pandemic. But it's just kind of making the most out of college. And I had a really good time reconnecting with a couple athletes that I covered when they were in school.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming, sports, and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.